Hello. Today's Thursday's Thoughts is about playing people better than you. And you've probably heard that phrase, only play people better than you. It's wrong, and I want to talk about that. So if that's of interest, stay tuned. Okay, so the phrase, only play people better than you, it's wrong, because if it were true, then a lot of people wouldn't want to play anybody else because they think that they're better than them. You know, Rami Ashur would say, well, I'm better than anybody else. Well, maybe he doesn't, because he's maybe quite humble, but he would maybe have the right to say that, and then he wouldn't play anybody else. So let's talk about some of the options. Well, the first thing that you want to talk about is that if you play somebody who's way lower than you, then yes, then there can be very limited benefit for you and for the other player. If you're playing somebody so much better than you, then there is limited benefit. Of course, that depends on the level involved, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But what we're really looking at here is, can you get benefit from playing people who aren't as good as you? And yes, you can. And there are a number of ways you can do that. Well, the first way you can do that is you can do that by limiting yourself. You can say, okay, I'm only going to hit this type of shot, or I'm not going to hit my favourite or best shot, and I'm going to limit the options that I have and improve the areas that I need to work on. Now, you can do that by telling the person that you're playing what you're doing, or keeping it a secret. Depends on the difference between you two as a player. Now, if you find yourself playing somebody who is much better than you, but close enough that you feel that you can get benefit, well, what you should be doing there is trying to keep the rallies going for as long as possible. Now, the last Thursday Thoughts I did was about tenacity, and I don't want you to get the impression that I'm this kind of coach that only wants people to just keep hitting the ball and just keep it going. But basically, if you play somebody and you lose 11 love, 11 love, 11 love, and it takes an hour and 20 minutes. That's much better than if you lost 11-9, 11-9, 11-9, and it took 20 minutes. In the long term, it's better because the chances are that if the score was like that, then nobody was taking it seriously. There were lots of shots that everybody was going for. But the longer you can keep a better player on court, the better for your physical fitness, the better for your tenacity, the better for your concentration. You will benefit more from doing that. Now, another thing that you can do is you can play different people, and that is a huge thing for me. To be honest, I would prefer my students play different people more often than they played better people. Because every time you play somebody new, that's a huge learning opportunity. So I'd like to recommend that everybody considers joining a club, joining a league, playing in tournaments, playing in club matches, round robins, anything that gets you in contact with new players. And those players can be slightly lower than you or slightly higher than you. That's not important. What's important is the fact that you're playing somebody completely new. And you'll find that people who are maybe not as good as you, but are so different from the people that you've been accustomed to playing, will beat you. Because you need to learn to adapt not only to the players, which is really what this Thursday's Thoughts is about, but also to the court itself, the environment, you know, the shouting from the supporters, you know, the temperature, all of those kind of things. So that's really important. Now, I'd like to finish with an anecdote. Some of you may know that I used to be the squash coach at Wembley Squash Centre, which was, at the time, one of the premier places in the world. And next door was the Wimbledon Conference Centre, and they had the British Open there. And when I was coaching there, I was lucky enough to, you know, practice with some professional players because Ramat Khan and Jahangir Khan were both training there. And there was this one year where we had two Finnish players, Pentti Pekkanen and Sami Elopuro, and I was lucky enough to practice with those guys for a couple of weeks. And there was one particular day that sticks in my mind. We did some routines, and then it was a case of, okay, everybody just play against each other for a little while. And I played Sami, and Sami beat me 9 love, 9 love, 9 love, 9 love, 9 love. 5 games in a row, I got no points. And okay, I wasn't a professional player, but I had been practicing with Jahangir. I mean, I could hit the ball. I could move and I could hit the ball. But he was relentless. And afterwards we talked, and he said I used it as a concentration exercise. I just didn't want to let you get anything, because if I'd eased up, then you would have. Okay, so then we did, we just had a break, you know, a drinks break, and then I played Pentti, and I lost something like 9-4, 9-5, 9-6, 9-7, 9-2, something like that. And then, of course, that was a huge difference. This was in the same day, and they were more or less the same level. I don't know exactly, but they were sort of like 40, 50 in the world at the time. And I spoke to Pentti afterwards, and he said, well, I used it as a practice routine. I used it as a session. I was working on these particular shots. You know, for the first 4 points, I only hit the ball to the back or something like that. So, you know, that's an example of when you play somebody who's not as good as you, you can either use it as a concentration exercise or you can limit yourself. And just to finish, because that's reminded me, is that if you do play somebody that's not as good as you, you don't have to play games, unless it's a tournament, of course. What you can say is, okay, look, we're here to practice together, but let's do some routines. Let's do some routines that benefit me and benefit you, because it's not always about competitive matches. You should be playing routines, and those can be competitive as well, or they can be cooperative. So there you go. So today's Thursday's thoughts, let me just summarise. Don't just play people who are better than you. Play different people, and when you play those different people, use it as opportunities to improve. So, thanks for watching, and remember, do something every single day to improve your squash. See ya!